What would you say if you walked into a bank and the teller told you, sorry, we do not accept that check? They're declining checks. They don't want you to bring in a check because they will not give you money. They will take it and they will tell you, well, you gotta wait. Well, that's exactly what is happening, and it's happening with cashier's checks. Not just regular handwritten checks from person to person, but a cashier's check from one banking institution to another. Banks are declining them. I'll explain exactly what's going on and what just happened to me just recently in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So the banking industry at this time is in a very interesting place. We knew before that it's tough to walk into a bank and ask for just hundreds or thousands of dollars from your own bank account because banks were saying that, sorry, we cannot give you that money. We have a limit. If you want money, you need to place an order and we will order the money in and you can pick it up potentially tomorrow. That's what we've been facing. Now, here's the interesting part. People have been telling me they cannot cash a check. One person even said they went into their bank with a check and the check was from another bank. Now, I don't want to say what bank this is because I haven't heard any reports on this, but the bank that they had a check from, the bank that they went to said they can't cash that because they don't believe that bank is good for it. Okay? So this just happened this past week. I don't know if, again, I haven't heard any reports on this, so I'm not going to discuss that too much further, but that is troubling. When a bank says, no, we're not going to cash that bank's check because I don't think that bank is good for it. That's interesting. But listen to this. This person wrote to me, I went to my bank, Wells Fargo, today to cash a cashier's check that I received from a client, and you wouldn't believe what they told me. They said I couldn't cash the check. They were declining the funds, and the teller then told me that they have a policy that they can't release any funds until 72 hours after the transaction. I thought cashier's checks were the same as cash. Now, that is what I thought as well, that cashier's checks are the same as cash. You go to a bank or financial institution and you say, okay, I need a cashier's check. And you're going to pay $4, $5, maybe $10 for that check, but it's pretty much as good as cash. So if you take that cashier's check and you go pay for a car, right? When I purchased my last home, one of the things I used was a cashier's check. Okay? That's just what you do. Because a cashier's check, instead of walking into the title company and where I have, $500,000 in cash, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to have one piece of paper, a cashier's check. Because it's as good as cash, right? At least that's what I thought. But why are banks declining cashier's checks and telling us no, they are not going to release the funds immediately? Well, listen to this person. This person says, have you ever had a bank deny you funds from a cashier's check? This happened to my wife this morning and I couldn't believe it. We have never been denied money like this before. Here's the interesting part. Is it the cashier's checks that are causing an issue? Is it because the cashier's checks are potentially fraudulent? Are people scamming banks? Or is it because the banks don't have the money on hand? Think about that for a second. Now, I'll give you my story in just a moment because I went and tested this. I went to one bank, then I got a cashier's check. I believe it's for like $30,000 or $40,000. I got a cashier's check for that, and I took it to another bank. Okay? I will address what they told me and how much money they were able to give me immediately. So I'll address that in just a moment. But listen to this one. This person says, this is getting really strange. My credit union told me today that they will no longer provide funds immediately to my account from a cashier's check. This is how I always get paid. They say there's too much fraud going on and they can't risk losing money. Now, I understand that. I understand that banks cannot risk losing money because banks are already on the verge in many cases of a simple collapse, okay? Simply because of the commercial mortgage market. That's hurting banks immensely. Now, what's interesting though is these banks, this credit union, is telling this person they will no longer provide funds immediately from a cashier's check. Again, isn't a cashier's check the same as cash? That's what I thought. Now, let me tell you my story, okay? So I went into a bank just recently, and I got a cashier's check. It was like $30,000 or $40,000. I just wanted to test this out and see, is this really happening? Okay, I just did this a couple days ago. Or, no, today's Wednesday, so I just did it yesterday on Tuesday. Now, did it yesterday, Tuesday morning. I took this cashier's check, and I went into another bank, which I do have an account with. I went to that bank, and I deposited the check. And I asked them, could I cash this? He told me no. Can't cash it. I said, okay, that's fine. Because if I went to cash a cashier's check, $30,000 or $40,000, they didn't have it. They did not have that money. Okay, that's fine. Here's the next thing I asked them. Okay, so you'll just put that on my account. The lady says yes. Okay, that's perfectly fine, because I'm not going to go and take the cash out. I'm going to use a card or use my debit card to make a purchase. She said, okay. She goes, how much of the funds do you need? I said, all of it. I need all of it. And she said, well, sorry, we're actually going to have to place a hold on this cashier's check for 72 hours. But, I can actually give you some of that money. How much of it do you need? Again, I rephrased, all of it. She said, well, we can give you up to $5,000. $5,000 by the end of business today, you will have that in your account. Keep in mind, the account that I put the money in had much more than what the check was worth. So I covered the check. But that's the interesting part, is that banks, and this bank told me that no, I couldn't cash it. It was too much. Okay, I understand that. And that's fine. But then they told me that no, even though it's a cashier's check, which again, in my opinion, is the same as cash, they told me no. I do not have access to 100% of the funds until 72 hours after. They said they were going to give me $5,000 at the end of business day yesterday, so it was available this morning. $5,000. Okay, so I think it was a $40,000 check. But so instead of $40,000, they give me $5,000. The other $35,000 will be available in the next 48 hours, something like that. Okay, so this is what I think is interesting. Banks are declining checks. They are telling us that no, the check is no good until, again, they're going to verify funds. Isn't a cashier's check, isn't that verified funds? That's what I think is interesting. And that's why I'm giving you this warning, is because, this is one of the ways that, I do certain transactions, is I'll take a cashier's check from one account and I'll pay another account. From a business account, pay a personal account. Okay, that's just one of the things that I do. Now, if a cashier's check is the same as a handwritten check from person to person, I just do a handwritten check. But that's what I think is strange, is why are banks now deciding to decline a cashier's check? Would they decline a wire transfer as well? Just because they don't have the money on hand? That's what I think is strange. But let me know down in the comment section below. Are you experiencing something like this as well, or have you? I've been getting so many comments about cashier's checks lately that I decided I wanted to figure it out myself, and I did. I went to the bank. They told me the exact same thing. Nope, won't be available for 72 hours. And then when I asked, well, can I have some of it? They said, yeah, we'll give you $5,000. So an eighth of what I deposited, they were going to give me. Interesting. So again, that is what we know at this time. I think that's very interesting what's happening with the banking industry at the moment. But if you've experienced anything like this before, let me know down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.